Hello, everyone. I can see that we have plenty of people joining us in the chat. Welcome, welcome. I'm Cassie. I am from First Book, and we are going to get started in just about 30 seconds. I'm looking at the chat to see all the friends who are here so far. We have people tuning in from Michigan. We have people tuning in from Missouri, North Carolina, Illinois, Florida, California. I'm seeing lots of different places. Indiana, New Mexico, Oklahoma. Wow, we have so many folks on this call today. Well, it sounds like we're very excited. Let's go ahead and get started with our Build the Change video. Francis, can you help us build the change by playing our video?
Are you ready to build the change? The Earth needs your amazing ideas to take on the big challenges that our planet and people face, like protecting the environment or building a future where everyone is included. Building the change is all about using imagination and play to come up with your creative ideas for a better, more sustainable future. Because your ideas are awesome. And everyone needs to hear them, from your friends and local decision makers to world leaders and people everywhere. So, are you ready to build the change?
Y'all, we are so excited to get started. My name is Cassie, and I am with First Book. Educators, members, everyone joining us, thank you so much for bringing your classroom to our event with the Lego group. I am a former teacher. I love getting to do these events with you, and let's go over a couple of housekeeping notes before we get started. It is very important for us to remember that when we are creating and building and learning new things, we are doing so in a safe space. This is your opportunity to get messy, to make big mistakes, and we're going to learn from them together as we get ready to talk about the creepy crawlies that will be all over our event today. If you've been to our events before, you've heard this. We're going to have an idea. We're going to get an opportunity at the end to share our ideas, and we are going to work together to build a brighter future for planet and people. Lots of different ways to do that. We're going to learn from 3 different guests today. Not 2, 3. We packed in an extra special third one for this event. We're going to create together, and we're eventually going to have an opportunity to share. And of course, you're not going to hear all of this from me. First Book has brought some friends to this event today. We have the Lego group helping us out. You saw the video earlier to build the change made out of those lovely Legos. Well, I'm about to pass the mic to our friend David from the Lego group, who is going to take you on this creepy crawly journey today. David, are you here?
I'm Cassie, loud and clear. Can you hear me? Excellent. I'll take that as a yes. I can hear all of you as well. Even though, guess where I am? I am in the UK, the United Kingdom. I am in London. If any of you have been to London, let us know in the chat. I'd love to hear what you think of it. And if you haven't been, what's your impression? Share one word, and it can't be rain. It can't be rainy. It's not that rainy here. But anyway, good to meet you all. My name is David. I can't remember when was the last time we all met? Some of you have probably met before. Some of you I haven't. We've been doing this for a couple of years now, and I love joining up with First Book and with Cassie and all the team behind the scenes. It is so much fun. But today is all about you and your ideas. Now, Build the Change, as Cassie just said, is all about your ideas, your visions for a better future, your visions for solutions for the planet, for people, and everything in between. And today is no exception. Today, oh my gosh, as you can see on the slide there, I am crazy about nature. If we have that, that's it. Perfect, Francis. I am crazy about nature. I'm also crazy about Lego bricks and Lego building, but I'm really crazy about nature. So when those two worlds come together, it is incredible. And as you can see in those pictures, I love birds as well. Really, really love birds. And some of the people on this call know that for a fact. And I've been at the Lego group for 10 years. I have been there for 10 years. And just to show you, when we've been in the Lego group for 10 years, you get a brick. Every year I stay, I get a brick from my boss, and I just got the 10-year one. And I'm very happy. So I'm very proud of that. So I thought I'd share that. Anyway, moving on. I would love to ask you a question. And that question is this. When you hear the words creepy crawlies, what do you think about? Can you share that in the chat? What do you think about when you hear the words creepy crawlies? Let's see what everyone has to say. And I'm waiting for it. Here we go. Bug from Lindsay. Nice. Bugs, legs, spiders, insects, spiders, a lot of spiders, bugs, worms. Excellent. Beetles. My goodness. Caterpillars, roaches, sea snakes, spiders. A lot of spiders. Caterpillars again. Oh my goodness. We're getting up. Ants. There we go. Snakes. Now you're talking. I love snakes. I love all these, but I really love snakes. Scary. Centipedes. Oh my goodness. Centipedes. When I lived in Japan, they have these huge centipedes that you have to be really careful of. Millipedes. Wow. Snakes. Now, I was in America recently, just a quick story, and I went looking for diamondback rattlesnakes with a scientist, and it was very, very cool. Fire ants. Gosh. Look at all of these. Cassie, isn't that cool? And you can see some of the little creepy crawlies on the screen. And I just want to say, creepy is an okay word to describe all of these things, but I also think they're awesome and they're cool and not scary at all. And we're going to hear today how so important all of these little things are. Mice. Someone's just written mice. Sorry, I got distracted. How important all of these things are to the planet. Even our little ants, you've probably heard, without ants, things would really not be the same. And that goes for all of these awesome creatures. So creepy crawlies is okay. We got Halloween coming up, so let's call them creepy crawlies, but they're awesome crawlies as well. All right, now I think it's nearly time to welcome our first guest. But before we do that, I would like to give a little bit of a drum roll. Now, I'm going to tell you, hopefully you can drum on your desk or your table or the floor, wherever you're sitting, or if you're really tall, maybe the ceiling. But I would like you to do a drum roll at different speeds. We're going to start slow. Can you just do a slow drum roll? And we're going to bring in our first guest. All right, go a bit faster, That's it. That's it. Really super fast, silly fast, stop. Silly fast again, and stop. And I think that is a good cue to welcome our first guest, Erin Cord. Now, Erin is going to join us in a second, but before she joins, I was really happy to see Erin in the deck because I know Erin and we've worked together before. So without further ado, let's welcome Bat Conservation International Community Engagement Manager, Erin Cord. Erin, are you there?
I am here. Hi. Thank you, David. I was excited to see you too. It's good to see you again. Hi, everybody. Okay, so I'm going to talk today about bats, which maybe aren't exactly creepy crawlies, but I think some people might describe them as creepy. So first, we've got a video that I'm going to have you guys watch, and we're going to learn from our friend Madison.
Hi, I'm Madison Myers. I'm 14 years old and I'm from Troy, Michigan. I first got interested in bats when I was about 3 years old, and I've basically been interested my entire life because both my parents were scientists and I grew up in a household where they were really interested in bats and teaching me about it all my life.
Right in here, we have the male cage, and these where all our male bats are. Yeah, that one's eating. They're eating fruit right over there. See these like fruits hanging in that row? That's called enrichment, and that's just to help them get accustomed to where they live.
Well, bats are the only mammals that can really fly. Other mammals like the flying squirrels and sugar gliders, they don't actually fly, they just glide, and bats can fly for long periods of time. Some of the great things about bats are that they eat more than thousands of insects every night, and this saves farmers millions of dollars every year on pest control. And also, this makes our food healthier for us and also us healthier by using less pesticides. So bats disperse seeds in the rainforest, and what they do is after they eat the fruit, when they're flying over the rainforest, they disperse the seeds in their poop, and this spreads the tree seeds all over. What bats do to pollinate is when they find a plant that they want to drink the nectar from, they go up to the flower and start to drink the nectar, and since they have longer snouts, the pollen from the flower actually gets on their snouts, and when they fly off to go to the next flower, they land and the pollen rubs off on that flower, and this is how plants reproduce. Bats pollinate many plants and trees such as guava, banana, and agave. The only bats that live here in North America are insect-eating bats, and we only have 2 pollinating bats. But the big fruit bats, they live in the tropical and subtropical regions. This is a vampire bat. Most people think vampire bats are these huge, scary animals, but really, this bat is just a cute, small little bat. And the vampire bats live in Central and South America, and they don't live in North America, and these bats drink blood. So what they do is when they find a cow, they land on the cow, take a little bite, and their saliva makes the blood actually stop flowing, so it's like a little band-aid so the cow won't lose a lot of blood. Instead of sucking blood, which most people think, they actually just lap it up with their tongue, and right after, they just fly away. The cow is completely fine. It doesn't turn into a vampire cow or anything. It's just completely good. Vampire bats are actually really social animals. They have their own families and colonies, and they actually know all the bats in there. And when one bat is actually sick and can't leave the cave, or they just, for some reason, they didn't get food that night, one bat will actually take the blood that it got before from a cow and actually feed the other bat to keep it healthy. This is the vampire bat's wing, and it is like all the bat's wings. And basically you can see right there is the thumb of the bat. You can see the bat's elbow right here, just like we have, and also the bat's four fingers on the wing. A lot of people don't know that there's bats always around them and everywhere, in your neighborhood, outside your house. Every night they're eating thousands of mosquitoes, and they're always flying around. If you had a bat detector, you'd be able to hear bats everywhere and hear their echolocation. Well, this is a big brown bat, and they are one of the most common bats in North America. And this is the bat that you would most likely find outside in your backyard. So this is the echolocation meter, and you can hear those little clicking noises are the bat echolocation.
Okay, I'm back. Okay, yeah, so hopefully you enjoyed that video. I was going to talk a little bit more about some of the great things that Madison said. Very exciting news. We just had a few new species of bats actually that were discovered. And so now we have around 1,500 species of bats in the world. So almost 1/4 of all mammals are actually bats, which is really amazing. And they're found on every single continent except Antarctica. So bats really are kind of everywhere. And as Madison mentioned, especially in the United States, a lot of our bats are insectivorous, meaning they're eating a lot of the creepy crawlies that we may be talking about today. But they're doing us a really huge service because they eat a lot of things that we kind of consider pest insects. So a lot of agricultural pests. They do eat mosquitoes, but they eat a lot of other things too. We also have pollinating bats. We have actually 3 species in the United States. They mainly live kind of in the desert Southwest region. So if you're in Arizona, New Mexico, or even Southern California, you may have nectar bats in your area, which is really cool. But they pollinate a lot of species in kind of tropical parts of the world. About 500 different species of plants are actually pollinated by bats. And so they're really important pollinators. And they do pollinate agave, they pollinate a lot of cacti and things like that. And then they're really important for seed dispersal too. So a lot of bats eat fruit. Not in the United States. We don't have fruit-eating bats, but a lot of fruit-eating bats in kind of our tropical and subtropical regions. And, when they're eating those fruits, they're eating the seeds as well. The seeds come out in the guano, which is just a fancy word for bat poop. And the guano is a really good kind of fertilizer for those seeds. And so bats plant a lot of trees and other plants kind of just flying around and dropping guano. So they're really important for growing new plants and new species. Okay, next slide. So I wanted to talk a little bit more about this because I think it's really cool. So we're mammals, bats are mammals. We actually have a lot in common with them. And this just shows you how you have the same bones in your arms and your hands that bats have. And bats are actually flying with their hand bones, and their fingers are just elongated. You can see in this slide. So I want you guys right now to hold your hands out like this, and I want you to flap like a bat. I can't see you, but I can tell. Hopefully everybody's flapping. And you can kind of see you have so much movement in your wrists and your fingers. That's why bats are so good at flying, because they have really good movement because they're using the same bones that we have in our hands. Okay. And so another thing I wanted to talk a little bit more about, which is kind of one of bats' superpowers, is echolocation. And so bats, they're not blind. A lot of people think bats are blind. They can see about as well as we can, but they're navigating at night, right? They're nocturnal and they're hunting at night. And again, in the US, most of our bats are eating insects, so they're hunting kind of flying prey at night, which is really challenging. So they use sound to do this. And so bats are basically kind of screaming all the time. They're throwing out sound, and they're throwing out those sound waves. And, we can't hear it. It's too high pitched for our ears to hear. That's why you need, in the video, she had kind of an echo meter, an echolocation meter, where it actually translates the sound down so we could hear it. So those little chips that you heard, normally we can't hear them with our ears. But bats are throwing out sound all the time, and that sound is bouncing off of stuff. And that's how they navigate around. So they're really good at echolocation. They can sense something as thin as one human hair. That's how amazing they are at it. And they use this to navigate in their surroundings and also to hunt too. And so my last slide is just, hopefully you love bats more than ever after this. And, maybe you're wondering what you can do to help. And, people ask me a lot about bat boxes, which are fine, and you can put up bat boxes, but only a couple different species actually will use bat boxes. So, we want to help all the bats. So in the United States, especially, since all of our bats are eating insects, they're eating a lot of kind of nighttime pollinators. So you really want to think about planting native plants and trees to support those nighttime pollinators to kind of provide a bat bug buffet, as we call it. Also, some of our bats roost in trees too. So trees are really important roosting habitat. So you can actually build a bat garden, at your school, in your backyard, even on a balcony. You can kind of do this anywhere, and it really does help bats. I also think too, not everybody loves bats. Some people are scared of them, and you can be a bat champion. You can talk about how awesome they are and all these cool bat facts you learned today, and just tell people why they're important and why their conservation is important. So we have a lot of information on our website, batcon.org. We have species profiles. You can actually type in your state. You can figure out what your local bats are. So get to know your local bats. And also today is the first day of Bat Week, which is really exciting. So happy Bat Week, everybody. It is October 24th to Halloween. It is kind of a celebration of all things bats, and it is actually an international celebration at this point. So we have partners in the US and Canada and Mexico, certain countries in South America. We have UK, Bat Conservation Trust, David, they are involved now. So Bat Week is getting bigger, and it's just a time to kind of take, people are thinking about spooky creatures, and we just want to turn that into an education moment. So there's a ton of resources on batweek.org. And so happy Bat Week, everybody. Thank you.
I love that. Hello. Hi, Erin. Great. Thanks so much for that. Hello. Now, you and I did a film shoot on bats about a year ago with our friends at Discovery Education, and it was awesome, and I learned a lot more about bats. But before we go into my serious question, I have a silly question. Looking at that diagram of their hands, how do they pick their nose with those fingers?
I don't know. Maybe they don't, which is, I'm sure, hard to believe, but I don't know. I guess they're just really, really clever there. That's a great question.
Can't believe no one's done a research paper on that yet. Anyway, we do have a question from the crowd. Thanks for your questions. Keep them coming in the Q&A. It is, what kind of plants would you include in a bat garden?
Yeah, I love that question. So, it kind of depends on where you live in the country, kind of what you would pick. I would say, you want to think about things that smell really good. So, like, and all kind of start with just native plants. You want to make sure that the plant that you choose is something that's, has co-evolved with the insects that are found in your area. So, native plants are really the secret sauce to all of this. And trees, obviously, native plants and trees. So, I will say, things that flower at night or leave their flowers open all the time are really important. White colored flowers that are really light that sort of pop in the moonlight, they attract a lot of nighttime pollinators. You can get really into moth host plants, which is really exciting. Moths have some really fun and wacky caterpillars, and so those are great for supporting the larval stage of the moth or the caterpillar stage, as well as the adults too. And then I will say trees are so important. Nothing supports more moth species than oak trees. And, in the US, we have oak trees are native everywhere, and you could probably figure out, what are your oak trees that you can plant. So I think just thinking about, what's native and kind of figuring that out and then kind of going from there and just having a lot of diversity is always really good too.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thanks, Patricia, for that question. That's awesome. Another one here from Nancy. Do bats get burned from the sun? Good question.
Oh, wow. That is a good question. So they're not really out during the day generally. I mean, they're nocturnal. So, they usually come out right around dusk is usually a good time to view bats, especially in the summer. If you kind of want to see bats, we say, go to a larger body of water right at dusk. The first thing they do when they wake up, they're usually pretty thirsty, like humans. I'm usually pretty thirsty when I wake up. So they go get a drink of water. So yeah, they're really out kind of during, dusk, and then they tend to go back in right around sunrise. So they're really not in full sun. It does happen occasionally. Sometimes when the babies are switching roosts after they are learning to fly, sometimes they get trapped outside. I mean, I think generally they try to kind of find the darkest spot that they can. So I don't think it's really an issue for bats, but that's a really good question. I haven't had that one before.
I love it. I've had the old moment when I've been out doing wildlife stuff where a bat's been disturbed and they've come out and they've been in the sun, but they haven't sizzled or smoked or anything like that. So all good.
No, I think they just are like, ah.
Yeah, I think that's just Dracula, right? I think he's the only one that's got an issue with that. Brilliant, Erin. I think we've got one more question. You kind of talked about it a little bit earlier, but how can kids protect bats?
Yeah, I love that question. I think there's a lot kids can do. I mean, as I said, I think, with bats, we want to just kind of support them in terms of like building habitat. So again, like, with a bat garden, plants and trees are really important for our bats. And I think too, just making sure that, you guys have a lot of power in your family, in your community, and you can talk to people and kind of talk to them about why bats are important. Because one of the main things is, sometimes people, are afraid of bats or don't really understand why they are important and why their conservation matters. And I think you have a lot of power and a big voice, and you can kind of reach people and make a difference. And that means a lot. And we love when kids do that. We appreciate it so much.
Oh, absolutely. We need young people to shout out loud about how awesome wildlife is. Yes. Not just the big cool stuff, right, Erin? Like the polar bears, the panda bears, all the little things too, the unsung heroes.
Definitely. Yes.
And happy Bat Week to you, Erin. I know it's a big deal for your team. Thank you so much for joining us. Stick around for the build later, right? We'll see you again for that. But thank you for now. It's been awesome. Cheers, Erin.
Thanks, everybody.
See you in a minute. Right. Well, Erin got us flapping our wings earlier, but let's do it one more time for a quick wiggle break. Let's move our arms like this and remember that image you saw on the screen. So it's less like this and more like this, I guess. They're kind of a more mammalian, more mammal-like, if that's a thing. But I feel quite good after that. Yeah, that feels good. I think I've finally sorted out my shoulder. Thanks, guys. All right, the benefits of doing these sessions continue. Right, we have another, gosh, I can't believe it, another guest. This is like a real treat. We have another guest now. We have, joining us in a second, Alexis Rogers, and she's from the Bronx Children's Museum, and she is the Visitor Services Manager. And I'm going to hand over to Lexi, and I'm going to join Lexi after for some Q&A. So make sure you got some questions ready for everyone. But Lexi, over to you.
Alrighty, hi guys. It is so nice to meet all of your beautiful faces. Like he said, I'm from the Bronx Children's Museum. I saw some Bronx mentions in the chat for the schools. And I also want to say I saw San Bernardino. I'm from San Bernardino, so very excited to hear that one from California. But let's get started. So I work at the Bronx Children's Museum. We are located in beautiful New York City, right next to the Yankee Stadium, if there are any baseball fans in the audience. I absolutely love working here because I get to interact with kids. We have dance groups that come in, scientists, author readings, all kinds of fun art and science activities that we get to do every day with kids like you. We also have something called our living collection. So our living collection at the Bronx Children's Museum is super, super important because it gives kids an opportunity to get hands-on experience. We have a turtle, we have a snake, we have fish, whelk, bugs, and crabs, all kinds of creatures that kids get to interact with every single day. The star of our show is going to be Mr. Pelham, and I brought him here today. So here is Mr. Pelham. If everybody can say hi to Mr. Pelham. He is our resident three-toed box turtle because he has 3 toes in the back and then 5 in the front. He is super, super amazing. He is an omnivore, which means that he likes to eat plants, animals, and other living creatures, but he specifically really loves to eat bugs. So some bugs that Mr. Pelham can eat are beetles, crickets, roaches, earthworms. I have some here to show you guys here today. So here are our earthworms that Mr. Pelham loves to eat. We also have hornworms, which are really exciting. If I can get them out. These are our hornworms. And then he even, oh, this one's stuck. He even really loves to eat mealworms, which mealworms are super, super tiny. I'm going to try to show you guys them right now. There we go. Can you guys see the mealworms? They're super, super tiny. Pretty gross, to be honest. But my favorite are going to be the earthworms. So if we can go to the next slide so we can show the different pictures. So be in the middle. He can also eat ladybugs, even though they're not as tasty as the other things. We got our mealworms, our roaches, and also darkling beetles, which Mr. Pelham loves to get his hands on. So we're going to dive into the wonderful world of worms. There are so many different kinds of worms that we're going to be talking about, but we're mostly going to be focused over 25,000 different species of worms. However, some scientists think that there might be even 250,000 different types. And one of the big reasons is that worms can mean a variety of different things. It's not actually a scientific class. It's more so a wiggly type of creature that lacks bones and is super long. So worms are also super, super old. They are older than the dinosaurs. I have a collection of images that show some of the worms from our fossil record. We've got our sea worm in the top corner. We have our bristleworm as well. These are going to be about 425 million years old to 500. And at the bottom, we have our spiny worm, which is super, super cool. And then lastly, we have our segmented worm. So if you can see at the bottom corner, it's going to be the worm that has all of the little lines. The segmented worm is most likely the closest thing that is related to the earthworms that we have today. So where can you find worms? Worms are located in pretty much every single environment. They're going to be located anywhere from forests to deserts to the ocean and even ice worms in the Arctic, which are really, really cool. However, earthworms, if you look at the map, earthworms are only located on all of the continents besides Antarctica, because not much lives in Antarctica, to be honest. Worms are also super, super important because they are decomposers. They eat dead leaves, rotten plants, and they basically help turn trash into treasure for the soil, which we like to say. They are super important because they help aerate the soil, provide nutrients to the ground, and they help farmers and gardens to grow and be as beautiful as they can be. There are other decomposers like the millipede, the pillbug, or the roly-poly. We've got our dung beetle, we've got our black soldier fly. We also have fungi, mushrooms, all kinds of different things that help provide nutrients to the ground. So if you look at the worms that we have, if I can get them out. Okay, so if we look super, super closely at worms, let's see, trying to get it in the camera. Do you guys see? Perfect. Alrighty, so Worms have 5 hearts. They have a head, they have a tail, as you can see. They also have something called a clitellum, which helps them also. I'll grab one. There we go. They even have a brain. So in the worms, they have a brain about the size of a pinhead, if you know what that is, or maybe like a bobby pin. Let's see. I know a lot of people say that if you cut a worm in half, that it'll become 2 worms. That's actually not true. It depends on where you cut it. Not that I would ever do it, but it depends on where you cut it because only one side will survive, which will be the head side. They can regrow their tails kind of like lizards, but it's not always successful, so don't try it at home. Earthworms also don't have eyes or bones, which again makes them part of the invertebrates. But they use their skin to help act as their senses, which is super, super cool. And that's also why they are super slimy. So why are worms so slimy? The slime on worms help them to breathe because they obviously do not have lungs. They also help them to move around in the soil, and it helps them to absorb oxygen, and it provides that like source for the exchange that happens, which is really, really cool. Another thing that's really fun about worms is they come out when it rains. I think most of you guys have probably seen this before. When it rains, you'll see the worms stuck on the sidewalk wiggling around. Worms can actually feel the vibrations of the rain, and that's how they know that it's time to either migrate or to look for new habitats or for sources of food. Otherwise, they don't come out when it rains because it's simply too dry for them to move around, and they need to stay hydrated in order to breathe. There's also something called worm charming, which is super, super cool. And you could even try this at home if you're ever interested to. You simply take 2 sticks and then you go up and down with the stick, and it helps imitate rain pattern, so they think. And then it makes all the worms come up to the soil. There's even something called worm charming competitions, which I don't know if any of you guys have those in your states. I don't think I had them in California or New York. But people come around from all over, and they try to imitate the vibrations in the ground to catch as many worms as possible, which I think is really cool. So why is this all important? Worms are vital for the soil health. They help decompose plant matter or other living things, and they are crucial for our environment and crucial for our food supply too. How do we help worms? So we can help worms by composting, by taking care of our soil and making sure that we're not littering. And honestly, even if you see a worm on the sidewalk wiggling around, you can help them by moving them to a safer spot. So that's pretty much it for today. If you guys have any questions about worms, or if you want to see more of the silkworms, I'm ready.
Amazing. Thanks so much, Lexi. That was so cool. I love that you have some worms there with you as well. That's very cool. I know,
they're Pat's favorite snack.
Oh, so cool. Now, you mentioned worm charming. I remember doing that at school, and we had like
Did you really?
Yeah, we did it. We had like a meter square on the ground, and then I think we were patting the ground or something to imitate rain, and they came up, and then we counted them, and it was our kind of first kind of research, I guess. I
love it.
Yeah, it was really good fun. I love worms, of course. They're so important, as you've just said. And we've got some great questions. I've just seen another one come up. It's brilliant. One was, I think it came up, just for context, it came up after you were talking about if they had, something severed. And someone asked, do they experience pain? And that's quite an interesting question. So I wanted to ask you that.
So scientists aren't quite sure if they feel pain the way that we do because they don't have those types of sensors. However, they will realize that they're being damaged. So if you cut them, it won't be fun for them, obviously.
No.
Yeah.
Definitely don't do that.
Yeah, definitely don't do that at home. But it's something that people always love to say, but it's not actually true. But they can survive.
It's not actually true. Gosh. Now, there's another really cool one here from Michaela. And it is, how do worms go to the bathroom?
That is an excellent question. So worms, like us, they have a head and they have essentially a tail. So they go to the bathroom, just one side in, other side out. It's not very exciting. It's a little gross, but it is what it is.
It makes sense. It makes sense.
It It does.
Yeah, definitely. I like this one. Another one from Michaela, and Nicole had a similar question. But how big is the biggest earthworm? Because I've seen some crazy ones.
Yes. So
What is?
this one reported, I believe, is 6.5 feet. So that one is pretty massive. They're ginormous. I believe it was found in Africa, but yeah, it can get pretty big.
That's huge. And we've got a lot of people. It's so crazy. We've got a lot of people in the chat who actually have like they have terrariums in their school with worms and pill bugs and isopods. There's one there from Barbara. Any other questions coming up? Interesting. Were earthworms bigger in the past?
Yes and no. So they were, it just really depends because there's so much variety in the fossil record. So some of those fossils that I showed earlier, the smallest one was 2 centimeters and then the bigger ones were about 1 foot long. So it really just depends. And I'm sure we're going to discover even more and more as more exploration happens.
Wow. Oh, we've got time for one more. And I'm going to read, okay, maybe two. What are the fastest worms on the planet? Do you know?
Oh, I'm sure it's got to be a marine worm. I can't answer that for sure. That's a great question.
Great question.
The worms that I have currently are very slow. I don't know if you guys can see them moving around. They're pretty slow. Yeah. The mealworms are quicker, though, I will say. They kind of escape every now and then.
And what about, the last one. Are there any cultures in the world that eat worms?
Oh, not that I know of. But I will say I do love escargot. Love, love, love. I don't know of any people that eat worms besides gummy worms, which I also love.
Gummy worms. There's always space for a gummy worm. Amazing, Lexi. We've got to move on, but I hope you can stay around for the build in a second and the creative time. Love it. But thank you on behalf of everyone here. Thank you so much. That was so interesting. And there might be some more questions in the chat, so do take a look at that, Lexi. But thank you. Okay, that's so cool. See you in a minute. All right, guys. So we had bats first. So we did some bat movements. And now I'd love you to have a little wiggle break and move like a worm. Let's wiggle like worms. Those worms are wiggling a little bit. And this is also good for me and my back, which is excellent. So we had bats, and then we had wiggling like worms. I wonder what the third one will be. Now, we do have a special guest now, a third special guest, and I can't wait to introduce him. His name is, it's going to come on the screen. There we go, Maynard Okereke, and he is a very, very cool guy. He's an author and creator of Hip Hop Science, and he does so many cool things, and you're going to really love hearing about him. He's going to focus on a very special creature in his session. So I'm going to hand over to Maynard, and I'll see you after Maynard with some question and answers with him. All right, see you in a second. Hi, Maynard.
Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for tuning in. I am so excited to be talking about creepy crawlies, and I've been learning so much from our first two guests, and this is absolutely amazing. I love the opportunity to be here and share some fascinating creepy crawly fun facts with all of you. As it said, my name is Maynard Okereke. Some of you may know me as Hip Hop MD or Maynard from my kids show Maynard's Wild World of Science. And I'm going to go into a little bit of background by myself, but I want to go to that first slide because this is going to highlight what we're going to get into very briefly. I mean, we can do a whole hour session on this, but I'm going to try to run through these creepy crawly facts with you in just this short amount of time that we have together. But today we are talking creepy, crawly, critical spiders. Yes, critical spiders, because yes, these may be creepy crawly. I know at the very beginning of our discussion, everybody listed spiders as one of the organisms that they find the creepiest. And trust me, many spiders creep me out as well. But over my years, I've come to actually love and appreciate spiders. And I hope by the end of this brief presentation, you also will have a greater appreciation for spiders as well, because these arachnids are a lot more important than you may think. All right, let's go to the next slide. All right. For those, like I said, Hip Hop MD, also Maynard from Maynard's Wild World of Science. My background is in civil engineering. I went to school at the University of Washington. Go Dogs. But I work now as a science communicator with my platform, Hip Hop Science, merging the worlds of music, pop culture, entertainment, art, and science, and using those as tools to help educate. And I do a lot of content under my platform, pretty much everything that falls under the STEM umbrella, science, technology, engineering, and math. But one of my favorite areas is biology, because that was always a big passion of mine. Always wanted to be a wildlife biologist. Even though I didn't study that, I get to do a lot of that on my platform. So if you ever go and check out a lot of my work, half the time you'll see me in the jungle, in the Amazon, in the forest, somewhere picking up something creepy and crawly that might also include spiders, okay? So in the next slide, we're going to go into a little bit of fun facts about spiders, because though these little 8-legged arachnids may seem creepy and these pictures may seem creepy to you, leave them in the chat of which one you think is the cutest spider in here, all right? Because I have my pick, all right? But spiders, like I said, are a lot more important than you may think, all right? They're not just these web builders and you walk outside your door and you get caught up in webs. Trust me, I get caught up in like 2 spider webs a day because I got spiders all around my house here all the time, okay? But I love them because I realize that spiders do so much for all of us. Pest control is a really, really important factor of spiders. And you think about all these creepy crawly things, right? If we didn't have spiders, we'd have even more creepy crawly things all around us every single day. Spiders help control some of those other organisms that you might find creepy and crawly. They are fantastic pest control for limiting things like flies and other bugs that may end up in your house or may end up in the environment, keeping those under control so our ecosystems stay pristine. They also help reduce diseases, which is really important as well. You think about things like ticks that spread all sorts of diseases all across the globe. And even the #1 killer of people across the world, the most dangerous animal on the planet, mosquitoes. Spiders help control mosquito populations as well. So helping reduce diseases like malaria and yellow fever that mosquitoes can spread as well too. Spiders are absolutely critical in that as well. They're also great indicators for a healthy environment. If we want our environments to be pristine and functioning well and have that amazing food chain that we always know of having predators and prey, spiders are absolutely essential to balancing a healthy ecosystem. So if you see lots of spiders around your house or in an area where you're at, that means that ecosystem is functioning well. The air quality is great. The soil quality is great. There are insects hovering around. The food chain is working just as it should be. So spiders are a great indicator of that. But if you see on the next slide, spiders also have another really, really important feature that may help humanity in the future. Spiders can also make great tools. And yes, when I'm talking about tools, I'm talking about things that you may typically think as tools. Hammers, screwdrivers. Yes, a tool. But how could a spider possibly make a great tool? That just seems absolutely mind-blowing. There's no possible way this little 8-legged creepy arachnids with all these eyes can actually be used as a tool. But scientists are doing absolutely amazing things, as you can see in this next slide. Scientists are doing really, really special work because spiders have unique blood. Very, very unique blood. Now, we all know our blood that flows through our body. Our heart pumps our blood, circulates that through our body. Spiders have a blood called hemolymph, all right? And this blood is a pressurized blood system. And that's how spiders are actually able to move. They utilize their blood as muscles in their body to be able to move, which is really, really unique. That is the reason why whenever you see a dead spider, they're always curled up into a ball, okay? Because that pressurized system is no longer working. When they're alive, they're able to pump those fluids through their body, and that's how their legs are able to move, all right? They use this pressurization system. Really similar to if you've ever seen a construction vehicle like an excavator, right? They have those nice hydraulic systems, okay? And they have those pistons. Whenever they push oil through those pistons, that's how they're able to move that hydraulic arm to be able to pick up dirt. Spiders function very much the same way. And if you see here on this next slide, scientists have done something really, really special. We've created zombie spiders. Ooh, I know it sounds creepy, but this is absolutely absolutely mind-blowing research. New research that's going to reshape the future of technology, and more specifically, nanotechnology. When we think about manipulating small particles, really, really tiny objects, scientists have now been able to find a way to be able to recreate that hydraulic pressure that spiders use in order to move. And this is something what we call biomimicry, where we take things that are found in nature and we apply them to human activity to be able to benefit us as humans. And we see examples of biomimicry all the time. If you have Velcro shoes, that's an example of biomimicry, because long ago, we utilized these things where a scientist found what are these called bird seeds. Those seeds that you ever walk through a bush and those seeds get stuck on you, and he realized they have these tiny little hairs that are able to work as hooks to get stuck on you. And he actually used that technology and created Velcro. So Velcro was created because we learned about things in nature. And we do examples of biomimicry all the time. This right here is a perfect example of biomimicry, utilizing something in nature to be able to help us as humans. And if we go to this next slide, I have something really special to share. I think we have a video here that's going to highlight a little bit about how this mechanisms works, because you can kind of see it here in this picture and you're like, this is crazy. There's no way spiders can be able to do this. There's no way that humans can be able to manipulate spiders. But we're going to play this quick video here, and it's going to showcase to you exactly what we've been able to do to be able to harness this power. So let's see if we can play that really quick. Oh, they say we don't have a video. Oh, I thought the video, okay, maybe we don't have, maybe the video is not accessible on there anymore. But I'll go ahead and explain it, because you can see here in this imagery right here, okay? We have this deceased spider, all right? And you saw when spiders died, right, they curl up into a ball because that pressurization system isn't working no longer. So what scientists have been able to do now, researchers, and more specifically a mechanical engineer, which I'll talk to you about later on, that I had the opportunity to meet, she came up with this new research, okay? And this is an area called necrobotics, okay? Necrobots. And we think about necro, things that are dead organisms, and then robotics, merging those two fields together to create a brand new, entirely new field, necrobotics. So this researcher actually found out that you could actually insert a hypodermic needle into the chamber of the spider where their hydraulic pressure system lies. And by inserting a puff of air through this hypodermic needle, you can actually open and expand these legs and actually use these spider legs as gripping tools, as you can see here. And there have been lots of demonstrations that have been done with this technology. And one thing we also know about spiders, and also many other arachnids and also insects as well, they can also be able to push things and hold things that are way heavier than them. You think about things like ants. Ants can hold and carry things hundreds of times their weight. Same thing with spiders. And so the great thing about this technology, insert this hypodermic needle and then spread this puff of air, you can actually use these spider legs as small gripping tools to be able to pick up small objects. So things that are even bigger than they are, which is absolutely mind-blowing when you think about the future of nanotechnology and being able to control small particles and manipulate small particles, especially when we think about the future of supercomputing and superconductors, right? When we're looking at very small objects, we're actually utilizing this technology, and engineers are actually making this come to life, which to me is just absolutely mind-blowing. So not only are they great for pest control and preventing diseases and showcasing signs of a healthy ecosystem, we are using spiders to change the face of nanotechnology, which is to me just mind-blowing. And if you love that fact, this next slide will also mind blow you as well, because this is one of the many topics that I talk about in my upcoming new children's science book, which comes out in March of next year, Zombie Spiders and Asteroid Blasters. And if you can tell by that title, zombie spiders is one of the things that's featured in this book, which I absolutely love. I had the chance to interview 16 different scientists that are doing mind-blowing research just like this all across the world, and talked to them about the importance of their research and how this research is helping change the world for the better. And this has everything from obviously zombie spiders and asteroid blasters to robotics, soft robotics, to researchers that are doing underwater research and discovering new species and finding new medicines in the deep sea and all sorts of amazing, mind-blowing areas of STEM. And I absolutely love this topic because it really brings to life a lot of these misconceptions that we have about things like creepy and crawly arachnids or cockroaches and other bugs that we find really disturbing sometimes, if you kind of look a little bit deeper and you kind of go out of this bubble, you can find all these amazing things that our natural world holds for us. And this is one of the things that this book showcases. And so if you got anything from this presentation, is that creepy crawly insects, though they may fear us, though we may be fearful of them and we may be scared of them and we might want to kill them when we see them in the corner of our house, if we just think a little deeper, a lot of these organisms hold so much for our future that we may not even think about. We just have to be a little bit curious and do some discovery to be able to find out how they can benefit us. And so I hope you learned something really cool from this presentation. Hopefully you don't look at spiders as creepy and crawly as you once did, and think of how beneficial they can be for our future. So all that will be highlighted in Zombie Spiders and Asteroid Blasters. I want to say thank you so much for the time, and hopefully we learned something cool today. And maybe later on, if I find a time, I'll find a video. Maybe we do our build. We'll highlight it a little bit later on. But I want to thank you so much and thank our amazing group here. And I'm looking forward to doing our build here with everybody soon.
Amazing, Maynard. That was so cool, man. And I'm just like, I keep thinking mind blowing. Everything you just shared is mind blowing. And I shared this with you earlier, but this I wanted to show everyone. I have this on my desk.
Yes.
Maynard,
that is a peacock spider. Those are very unique spiders. They are in the jumping spider family. They're very related to many other jumping spiders. And they're called peacock spiders because you see that unique coloration on their abdomen. They actually use that to attract mates. And they do this little cool wiggle dance like we've been doing in between our breaks, which is really amazing. They shake their little abdomen, shake their tail feather like that. And that's how they're able to attract mates. And if you haven't seen videos of it, it's one of the most adorable things ever. You see a spider like that, you can't be creeped out anymore, right?
It's so cool, isn't it, mate? Thanks for sharing that. Man, there's a few questions for you. So one of them is, do spiders have bones?
Ooh, that is a great question. So spiders are invertebrates, okay? So we have our two groups, invertebrates and vertebrates, all right? We are vertebrates because we have bones, we have a spine, right? We have all our bones, muscles attached to our bones. Spiders do not have bones, okay? They have a really, really unique exoskeleton system. They actually are able to shed their skin, all right? If you've ever seen a spider shed its skin, it's one of the most amazing things, especially a big spider like a tarantula. It is really one of the most unique things. So spiders do not have bones. They are invertebrates.
Amazing. I love that. And how do spiders retract their web? Good question from Julie.
Ooh, that is a really good question. So they actually don't retract their webs, at least from what I know. Spiders have very unique. There's pretty much all spiders. There's a specific group of arachnids that don't actually make webs, but the majority of spiders do. And that web is actually expelled from their abdomen, okay? They actually are able to put together a nice concentration of chemicals to expel that from their abdomen. They don't actually need to retract it from their abdomen. Once it's expelled from their body, and they can do anything like using it as a climbing rope, using it to catch prey. There's also really unique species that was recently found that actually utilizes it as a net. And so they actually hold it with their legs, and they actually are able to grab different organisms with it. So they can do all sorts of functions with their web once it's expelled, but they don't actually need to retract it into their body.
Oh, fantastic. Mm-hmm. And how do spiders catch their prey?
Ooh, that's a great question. Lots of different ways, all right? Obviously, one of the most well-known ways is through their webs, and you've seen webs outside. Sometimes you see giant webs from like orb weaver spiders that you end up walking into and they get stuck all over your face, right? These webs have really, really tiny chemicals on them that are have sticky features. And so that's how they're able to capture flying insects like moths and mosquitoes and dragonflies and all sorts of things. But some spiders don't use webs. Some spiders are ambush hunters. You have some spiders like the fishing spider that actually catch fish. And they actually stay kind of hovering right above the water, and they see a fish come close to the surface. They're actually able to grab it with their legs. And you have some species like the trapdoor spider that waits for an insect to crawl by, and it literally comes out of this trapdoor and it just grabs it with its arms and brings it back inside its lair. So yes, lots of different ways that spiders hunt for different organisms.
Incredible, incredible. We've got time for one more question, Maynard. These have been great questions, guys. How long do spiders live?
Ooh, that is a great question. I don't know the exact answer of that because it does vary from spider to spider. I believe in a number of species, the females live longer than the males. And then it also really depends on the type of species as well, too. Tarantulas can live pretty long. I believe a lot of tarantulas can live for like 3 to 5 years. There's some arachnids that live only for a year. So it really varies, and it all depends on the species and their environment as well.
Fantastic, Maynard. Oh, there's so many other questions coming in. We don't have time to answer all of them, unfortunately. I mean, there is one there that I just want to raise. Any idea how to get over arachnophobia? Someone's asked.
That is a great question, and I actually talked to somebody recently about this because I have a friend that she was terrified of spiders. Like, I'm talking, you say the word "sp" around her, she would freak out. Okay, and she went to this bug show, and ironically, she has a platform called Bugable, and she's all about eating bugs, entomophagy. But the one bug that she does not like is spiders, and she actually got a pet jumping spider. And if you've ever seen a jumping spider, they are absolutely adorable. And she was mind blown about what this spider was able to do. Jumping spiders are one of the most intelligent spiders, and you can actually train them in a sort of simplistic way. And she was actually able to train her jumping spider, and doing that, she built this nice relationship with it. So I think one of the ways to get over arachnophobia is just bonding with spiders, just like we would bond with each other as humans. Finding things that are relatable, finding connections to them, maybe keeping them in a jar or in a terrarium or some other thing close by you so you see their movements and their actions every day, and they don't become as terrifying as you would if they just popped out unexpected, right? You have to kind of build that relationship with them. And so I think that's one of the ways that you can get over arachnophobia.
I love that. Watch movies with them, read books with them, go for walks. I love it. I love it. Great. Maynard, that has been an absolute treat. Thank you so much. And there's loads of questions in the chat. If you want to have a look at those, you can troll through. There's awesome stuff in there, I can tell you. But thank you so much, Maynard. We're going to go into our creative session now very quickly before the end. And we want everyone now, and I'm going to be joined by Cassie in a second, I believe. I'm joined by everyone. Look at that. Everyone's here. Welcome back, Cassie. Oh my goodness, how many facts have been thrown our way today? What a treat. Thank you, everyone. It's been so cool. Spiders, worms, and bats, of course. I mean, plus everything else that you guys touched on. Thank you so much. Right, your creative exercise now. Cassie, what are we doing? We're going to create a creepy, crawly, friendly garden. So taking all the information today. Create a garden that is safe, that has shelter, that has food for all of the animals that you've just heard about. You can use any materials now, right, Cassie?
Yes, you can.
What materials are you using, Cassie?
I am using some random stuff from around my apartment, some stuff left over from when I was in the classroom. So I've got some pipe cleaners. I'm going to try to make some spiders. I feel like a YouTuber.
Oh, nice.
Make some spiders.
Nice.
We've got some beads. We'll see what we're working with.
Okay. You can probably guess what I've got. I've got one very big brick here.
Wow.
Very big. But inside that brick, there's a lot of small bricks. So I'm going to use some Lego bricks, but other bricks are available. And what about you guys? Have you guys got some craft materials, or what are you building? What are you building with?
I've got lots of cardboard, so that'll be what I'm doing. Lots of material.
Right. Great. And I think it's really key that you don't feel pressure to finish your creation right now, Cassie, right? This is about starting it. How long are we going to spend on this, Cassie?
It was an excellent question. We are going to go until 2:05 p.m. Eastern Time. So that's going to be about 6 minutes. Remember, this is just the beginning of your creativity. You are just creating some ideas right now. Maybe you want to take this home over the weekend, continue to build, and bring it back on Monday to show your teachers. Maybe you're going to move really fast and you're like, it's been 10 minutes. I've got an idea. We are all going to go at the paces we need. And as you're building, teachers, feel free to share any other questions in the chat or share with us some of the things you are starting to see being built. We would love to shout them out.
Cool. And Lexi and Maynard. Oh, no, Lexi, I saw you got cardboard. What about you, Erin and Maynard? What have you guys got to build with? Create with?
I have pilfered my 9-year-old's Lego box, so I'm using Legos too. He doesn't know. He's at school.
Good. Good stuff.
I got a couple of different things. I got a little circuit block kit here, okay, where I can actually combine some circuitry here and kind of put some blocks together and create a cool little. So I'm gonna play around with that. But I also have in the corner here. I mentioned briefly about terrariums. One of my other big passions is building terrariums. I love building terrariums. And I have this terrarium that I've needed to reconfigure for a while because it's kind of messed up and I need to do some things. So right now it's being used as just a transition home for some creepy crawlies in here. And so I to actually reconfigure this and actually make this a beautiful environment. But I have some millipedes in here. I have some pill bugs in here. Some really cool stuff.
What? That's so cool, man.
That is so cool.
I love how it's just casually next to a Game Boy behind you.
Yeah.
You got a like.
It's my wall of science.
So cool. I love it. Love it. Gosh,
David, you might want to tell your friends at the Lego group. I'm seeing some branding suggestions for you guys. Some like garden kits, Lego terrarium ideas.
Oh my gosh, really? I will.
Yeah.
I will pass these on to my designer friends. Yeah, for sure. Thanks for sharing, everyone. If we do a terrarium kit, I'll get in touch. I'll let you know. I have a terrarium in my kitchen. It's just got plants in it, but I love it dearly. I love all of those plants.
Oh, that's awesome.
So cool, aren't they? So
I love
cool.
terrariums with water features in there. So I have 2 terrariums in my house that have waterfalls in them.
What?
And they're my favorite.
What?
Yeah.
Oh man, that's so cool. Water feature. That's a level up, man. That's a level up.
I don't play when it comes to my terrariums.
That is so cool. That is so cool. So I saw some pretty big spiders in Costa Rica last year. I was in Costa Rica or the year before. Yeah, some big tarantulas, really big.
Yeah.
That was cool. I was very happy to see those.
Yes.
I do like spiders.
Tarantulas are pretty awesome. I've definitely come to love jumping spiders, and it's my favorite.
They're so cute.
They're so adorable, right? I live in Los Angeles, and we actually get a really cool species of jumping spider around here. It's called the bold jumping spider. It's a really deep black jumping spider. It's really thick, really hairy. And every once in a while, I find one right here in my garage, and it's always cool. I always
wow,
a little bit, and then let it back outside.
Wow. When I lived,
to everyone.
Oh,
I was going to say, listening to everyone made me realize how many creepy crawlies I've run into in my time of being an adult human. Like, I went to college in the mountains, and we always had a woolly worm festival in the fall, which was all about the these caterpillars that grow to become Luna moths.
Yeah.
But they woolly worm races. So I've raced worms, and then there's this beauty. Yeah. Then there's this beautiful bat bridge in Houston, Texas. Some folks were
the Wall Bridge.
Yeah, the Wall Bridge. Know it well.
Famous bridge. Yes.
We're in cities, so I can tell you.
It's called the what bridge?
Yes.
WA. It's WAUGH. The Wall Bridge.
WAUGH. Oh.
Got it.
I'm going to Houston next month. I'll have to go stop by there.
Yeah, it's by the Buffalo Bayou Park. It is absolutely, it's a blast.
That's a great park too. That's a beautiful spot.
Mm-hmm.
No. When I was little, I lived in America. I grew up in America. I was in Georgia for the last part of it before I moved back to England. And that's where my love of nature really kicked in. And my brother and I used to catch black widow spiders and kind of study them. Yeah, that was cool. That was cool.
They are pretty cool. And you can find them. You can find them everywhere too. That's a cool thing about black widows. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then what's now happening? Did you hear about how their active populations are dwindling because they are getting over controlled by brown widow spiders?
Oh no!
Yeah. So
wow.
And sometimes they're hard to tell apart because they also have the little red hourglass on the bottom. But they're most of it. Some of them are still kind of black coloration, so it's hard to tell. But you could always tell by their eggs. They actually have spiky ball eggs instead of the round eggs that black widow spiders have. They have a spiky ball egg. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
That is
so cool.
So I think spiders are fascinating.
That's true.
Amazing.
So unfortunately, time flies when we're having fun and being creative. It is already 2:05 Eastern Standard Time. So we're going to pause on our creating, but that is a pause. We are not done. We can always continue to create and build after. Some of us, it looks like we've started. I put the blur on and I'm realizing that was silly. I've got a space for bats in my garden. I've got flowers. I've got a pumpkin, so they know it's creepy crawly safe. Now, some of you might be wondering how to share. In a minute, David and I are going to show you how to share. But first, we just want to say thank you, Aaron, Lexi, and Maynard, for sharing your facts and showing this creativity. The items you've started building for your creepy crawly gardens are so cool.
So cool. Look at that.
Lexi, do you have a turtle in yours?
I do, in fact.
Nice.
I'm gonna feed him a worm afterwards too in here, so
yay!
That's
amazing.
Awesome. He's earned a snack.
If we could get a lovely round of applause for our guests, go ahead, give your round of applause in the classroom. Say thank you for joining us. And we are going to say goodbye to our guests. Bye, guests.
Bye, guys.